When Emily noticed peculiar spots appearing on her cat Whiskers, she felt a pang of concern. Ignoring it might have been easy, but the discolored dots seemed to multiply overnight. Seeking answers, she rushed Whiskers to the veterinarian, expecting a simple explanation. However, the vet's reaction was far from what she anticipated. In an instant, his eyes welled up with tears, the diagnosis leaving him visibly emotional. Emily brings Whiskers, her beloved orange cat, to the vet, desperately seeking an answer to the mysterious spots. The clinic's waiting room buzzes with the normal sounds of pets and their owners, but Emily can only focus on Whiskers. He meows softly and she strokes his fur for comfort. "Don't worry, buddy, we'll figure this out," she whispers, trying to mask her own anxiety. The vet examines Whiskers carefully while asking Emily detailed questions about his recent behavior and diet. "Has he been outside lately? Any new foods?" the vet inquires, his brows furrowed. Emily, grasping for any useful information, replies, "No, he's always indoors and he eats the same brand of food." The vet nods, jotting down notes, his face increasingly serious. Whiskers remains still, as if sensing the gravity of the situation. Emily anxiously waits, recalling any possible exposures or changes in Whiskers' routine. "Could it be the new plant I got last month?" she wonders aloud. But the vet shakes his head, indicating that common houseplants rarely cause such symptoms. The minutes drag on, each one amplifying her worries. Whiskers sits quietly in the exam room, unaware that the spots have thrown his world into turmoil. Meanwhile, the vet's perplexed expression grows deeper, examining the spots under a special light. He mutters to himself, adjusting the lamp's angle. "I've never seen anything quite like this," he says finally, looking over at Emily. She gulps, her heart racing. "Is it serious?" she asks, her voice barely above a whisper. The vet sighs heavily, avoiding eye contact. "We need to run some tests to be sure," he responds. He takes multiple samples for lab tests, his seriousness heightening Emily's anxiety. With each swab and scrape, Emily feels her stomach knot tighter. "Will these tests hurt him?" she asks, her voice strained. The vet shakes his head reassuringly. "It's uncomfortable but necessary," he answers. He places the samples carefully into labeled containers, his focused demeanor providing little comfort. "We should have some preliminary results in a few days," he promises. Emily spends the following days in a state of anxious waiting, seldom leaving her phone out of reach. Each vibration or ring sends her heart into overdrive, hoping it's the vet with good news. She glances at Whiskers, who lies curled on the sofa, seemingly more tired than usual. Her friends call to check in, but she's too consumed with worry to engage in regular conversation. "I just need answers," she often tells them. She notices Whiskers becoming more lethargic, increasing her worry. His usual playful antics are replaced by long hours of sleep, and he barely touches his food. "You've got to eat something, Whiskers," Emily pleads, setting down a fresh bowl of his favorite kibble. He sniffs it briefly before turning away, his energy visibly depleted. The sight tugs at Emily's heart, making her feel even more desperate for answers from the vet. During this time, Emily decides to do some research on her own, scouring the internet for similar cases. She types in every symptom she observed, hoping to match Whiskers' condition with something she reads. Forums, pet health websites, and countless articles scroll past her eyes, but nothing seems to quite match. "Why can't I find anything?" Emily mutters, frustration growing. She bookmarks a few pages that seem close, though they offer no clear answers. She speaks with local pet owners and even contacts a few animal specialists online. "Does anyone have any idea what these spots might be?" she asks in pet forums, attaching pictures of Whiskers. Some responses come through with advice or similar experiences, but none provide a definitive answer. A few specialists reply, showing concern but also confusion. "It's a strange case, definitely," one of them messages back. Sadly, no one seems to solve the mystery. Each attempt leaves Emily more confused and alarmed as she can't find anything that precisely matches Whiskers' condition. She reviews everything she's read, but nothing seems right. "Why is this happening?" she mutters, clutching her laptop. Her confusion quickly morphs into worry as she mentally retraces every recent moment. The lack of answers starts to haunt her, making her feel increasingly desperate. Her friends and family offer support, but no one seems to have any useful advice. Emily's best friend, Sarah, calls regularly. "Hang in there, Emily. Cats are resilient," Sarah says, trying to provide comfort. Emily's mom visits, bringing homemade soup. "It's just a rough patch," she assures her. Despite their words, Emily knows they are just as clueless, and Whiskers shows no sign of improvement. The vet finally calls Emily with preliminary test results, asking her to bring Whiskers back for further examination. "We need to run more tests," the vet states firmly. Emily's heart sinks, but she agrees. "I'll bring him in first thing tomorrow," she says, her voice trembling. Hanging up, she feels a mix of dread and hope, hoping that the next visit brings more clarity. Emily's heart races as she promptly schedules an appointment for Whiskers. She makes sure to leave work early, arranging for a neighbor to take her shift. The drive to the clinic feels longer than usual, her grip on the steering wheel tight. Beside her, Whiskers meows softly from his carrier. "Almost there, buddy," she whispers, trying to mask her growing anxiety. Back at the clinic, the vet's serious demeanor is evident, causing Emily's anxiety to spike. His face, usually cheerful, is marked with concern. "I've reviewed the initial results," he mentions, leading them to an exam room. Emily can't read his expression, which only adds to her fear. Whiskers stays quiet in his carrier, sensing the tense atmosphere around him. He runs more tests, including a biopsy of the spots on Whiskers. Emily watches as he prepares the instruments, trying to keep her composure. "This might sting a bit," the vet murmurs, gently providing local anesthesia. Whiskers flinches slightly but remains calm. Emily's heart pounds as the vet carefully takes samples, placing them into sterile containers for further examination. Emily watches, feeling helpless and frustrated, as the vet insists on sending these samples to a specialist lab for further analysis. "We need a deeper look," he explains. Emily nods, hiding her frustration. "How long will it take?" she asks. "A few more days," the vet replies, offering little comfort. She feels every second dragging, her patience and nerves stretched thin. The wait for conclusive answers begins again, stretching Emily's patience and nerves to their limits. Each day without news feels like an eternity. She clutches her phone constantly, triple-checking for missed calls or messages. Whiskers continues to decline in energy, his lethargy heartbreaking to watch. The clock ticks relentlessly, and her anxiety grows with each passing hour. Emily's growing anxiety affects her daily routine, her thoughts consumed by Whiskers and his mysterious ailment. She misses meals, sleeps poorly, and avoids social outings. Walking through her house feels like wading through a fog. Her colleagues notice her distracted state. She makes mistakes at work. Every mundane task feels monumental under the cloud of uncertainty. During a sleepless night, she revisits her old photo albums and recalls happier times spent with Whiskers. She flips through pictures of his playful antics, each image tugging at her heart. "We've been through so much, buddy," she whispers to a dozing Whiskers. Hugging the photo album close, Emily feels a bittersweet blend of nostalgia and worry, longing for an answer that could bring those joyful moments back. She decides to rally support from the broader community, posting about Whiskers on pet forums and social media. She uploads photos and detailed descriptions of his symptoms, hoping someone might recognize them. "Has anyone seen anything like this?" she writes, fingers trembling on the keyboard. Her inbox soon fills with notifications, and although it offers some distraction, Emily's heart pounds with a mix of hope and fear. Her post garners replies from concerned pet lovers, but no concrete leads. Some share stories of their own pets' odd illnesses. Others offer sympathy and comforting words. "I'm praying for you and Whiskers," one message reads. Emily's phone buzzes constantly, each new notification raising then dashing her hopes. Despite the lack of useful information, the wave of empathy touches her deeply. Despite this, she draws some comfort from the outpouring of empathy and shared stories of beloved pets. "We're not alone," she whispers to Whiskers, feeling a bit less isolated. Strangers from across the country send tips, recipes for homemade cat food, and links to specialized vets. Though none provide the answer she seeks, Emily appreciates the sense of community and shared concern. Whiskers, meanwhile, seems to weaken further, exacerbating her fears. His appetite dwindles, and he spends most of his time lying in his favorite sunny spot, barely acknowledging her presence. One evening, Emily notices that besides the spots, Whiskers' fur seems to be losing its characteristic orange hue in certain patches. The sight makes her heart skip a beat. "Oh no, what's happening now?" she mutters, leaning in closer to inspect his fur. The patches are visible, stark against his still vibrant areas, which deepens her worries. She feels a renewed sense of urgency. This new symptom jolts Emily, who rushes to document the changes in photographs and video clips. She angles the camera to capture both the spots and the discoloration. "Stay still, buddy," she whispers, snapping picture after picture. She uploads the images and composes a detailed email for the vet, describing the new symptoms. Her fingers tremble as she hits send, desperate for any feedback. She sends these updates to the vet, who is equally baffled by this new development. "I'm not sure what to make of this," he admits over the phone. Emily's tension rises with his uncertainty. "Can we do more tests?" she implores. The vet, though perplexed, agrees. "Let's monitor him closely for any further changes," he advises, trying to maintain a hopeful tone. He advises her to keep Whiskers under close observation and to make note of any additional changes. "Document everything," the vet urges. Emily grabs a notebook and sets a reminder on her phone. She watches Whiskers even more intently now, noting down every small shift in behavior or appearance. It becomes a relentless vigil, but one she's committed to without hesitation. Emily starts a daily log, meticulously recording every detail of Whiskers' behavior, appearance, and diet. Day 1, spots larger, appetite poor, new pale patches, she writes. Her notebook fills quickly with observations, times, and any relevant occurrences. It feels like a small thing to control amidst the chaos of uncertainty. Each entry represents a glimmer of hope, a possible clue waiting to be uncovered. These efforts, though challenging, make Emily feel somewhat more in control of the situation. Jotting down notes and keeping a keen eye on Whiskers becomes a routine, offering a slice of order in her chaotic world. "At least I'm doing something," she whispers, glancing at Whiskers, who lies quietly. These diligent records are her lifeline, providing a semblance of structure amid the overwhelming uncertainty. The vet contacts Emily with another update, though still without final answers. "We're still working through the samples," he says apologetically over the phone. Emily nods, though he can't see it. "Is there anything you can tell me?" she asks, desperation lacing her voice. "We have some new leads, but nothing concrete yet," he replies. This response leaves Emily feeling both hopeful and frustrated, needing more clarity. He suggests conducting a more thorough environmental evaluation, suspecting that something in Whiskers' living environment might be contributing to his condition. "Can you think of anything new in your home?" he inquires. Emily pauses, mentally scanning her surroundings. "Nothing major, just minor changes," she replies. "We should check for any harmful exposures," he advises. Emily agrees, understanding this could be a crucial step. She starts listing potential problem areas she needs to inspect. Emily goes on a mission to inspect her home for anything out of the ordinary, checking for mold, cleaning products, or any new additions that might be harmful. She opens cabinets, examines corners, and sniffs around for unusual odors. "Maybe it's something subtle I've overlooked," she muses aloud. Each room becomes a puzzle to solve, but nothing immediately stands out. Frustration gnaws at her as she continues her in-depth exploration, determined not to miss anything. Her neighbor, an older woman who is also a cat owner, offers to help and share some herbal remedies. "Try these, dear. They worked wonders for my kitty," she says, handing Emily small vials of herbs. Emily accepts them gratefully, albeit skeptically. "Thank you, Mrs. Thompson," she says. They chat briefly about cats and shared experiences. Emily finds some comfort in the conversation, feeling a bit better knowing others care. She hopes the herbs might offer some relief. Despite their efforts, nothing seems to pinpoint the cause or alleviate Whiskers' symptoms. Emily tries the herbal remedies and continues inspecting her home, but to no avail. Each day brings a new wave of disappointment. Why is this so difficult? She wondered. Feeling a mix of frustration and helplessness, Whiskers continues to show no signs of improvement. Emily's hope wavers, but her determination to find answers remains steadfast, fueled by her love for her pet. As time passes with no definite answers, Emily turns to a holistic vet recommended by a friend. They might offer a new perspective, her friend Sarah suggests. Emily contacts the holistic vet, hoping for a fresh approach. "I'm willing to try anything at this point," she admits during their first call. The holistic vet schedules an appointment, promising to evaluate Whiskers soon. Emily feels a glimmer of hope, wondering if this new path will bring answers. The holistic vet uses a different approach, focusing on Whiskers' overall wellness and diet. "Let's look at his environment and nutrition," the vet advises, examining Whiskers gently. Emily watches curiously as he checks Whiskers' vital signs and demeanor. "Sometimes subtle changes impact health dramatically," he explains. She listens intently, noting down his suggestions. The consultation brings a sense of cautious optimism, as Emily hopes this holistic method might unveil the mystery behind Whiskers' ailment. Curious but skeptical, Emily follows the suggestions, including changes in diet and incorporating natural supplements. She purchases organic cat food and starts mixing in recommended herbs. "Let's see if this works," she murmurs, preparing Whiskers' new meal. Each day, she follows the vet's guidelines, observing Whiskers closely. Emily hopes these changes will bring improvement, even if it means venturing into unfamiliar territory. Her routine now includes more time preparing specialized meals and documenting Whiskers' responses. Whiskers appears somewhat more energetic, but the spots remain, now more perplexing than ever. Emily watches him closely, hoping each day for a sign that the spots are fading. She feeds him the new diet and supplements religiously, noting any small changes in his behavior. "You're moving around a bit more today," she remarks softly, trying to stay hopeful. Despite these small improvements, the persistent spots keep gnawing at her. Both vets keep in close touch, sharing findings and theories in hopes of a breakthrough. Emily feels a mixture of relief and frustration with each update that offers little clarity. "We're analyzing every detail," the holistic vet explains during one call. The original vet agrees, adding, "We haven't given up." Emily appreciates their dedication, but yearns for concrete answers. Each report brings her a step closer to solving the puzzle. Emily receives a phone call late one night from the specialist lab, confirming that they have found something unusual in the biopsy samples. Her heart skips a beat as she listens. "We've discovered an anomaly," the lab technician states. Emily grips the phone tighter, her breath quickening. "What does that mean?" she asks anxiously. The technician explains they need more time to thoroughly analyze and verify the findings, leaving her with mixed feelings. The detailed results, however, will take more time to be thoroughly analyzed and verified. Emily sighs, feeling a mix of tension and impatience. "How much longer?" she asks, needing a sense of timeline. The technician hesitates. "We are aiming for a detailed report within a week." Emily thanks them and hangs up, the vague update lingering in her mind. She wishes for a quicker resolution, but knows she must wait. This vague update leaves Emily tense and restless, her mind racing with possibilities both hopeful and grim. She spends hours replaying the conversation, thinking of potential outcomes. What if it's something serious? She wonders aloud, glancing at Whiskers. She feels a need to do something, but isn't sure what. Even mundane tasks become difficult, her thoughts consumed by the uncertainty surrounding Whiskers' condition. She confides in her best friend, who suggests a spontaneous getaway to help clear her mind. "You need a break, Emily," Sarah insists during their phone call. "Let's go to the lake this weekend." Emily hesitates, feeling conflicted about leaving Whiskers. "I can't just leave him," she protests weakly. Sarah counters, "It's just for a day, you need to recharge." Reluctantly, Emily agrees, hoping a change of scenery might help. Spending a day in nature provides Emily some temporary solace, yet Whiskers' condition continues to dominate her thoughts. As they walk around the lake, Sarah tries to distract her with cheerful conversation. "Look at that beautiful sunset," she points out. Emily smiles, but her mind keeps drifting back to Whiskers. "He's not eating much lately," she confides, unable to fully relax. Nature's beauty offers a fleeting respite, but her worries remain. She returns home more determined than ever to get to the bottom of Whiskers' ailment. "We'll figure this out," she whispers to herself as she hugs Whiskers. She resumes her meticulous logging of his symptoms and behavior and rechecks their environment for any overlooked clues. "I owe it to you, buddy," she says determinedly, feeling a surge of resolve. Her brief retreat into nature has reignited her spirit and commitment. The specialist lab finally sends detailed results to the vet, who arranges an urgent meeting with Emily. "We found something important," he tells her over the phone. Emily's heart beats faster as she schedules the appointment. Early the next day, she packs Whiskers into his carrier. "Let's hope for good news," she murmurs, feeling a mix of dread and excitement. The drive to the clinic feels endless, each mile intensifying her anticipation. With a mix of dread and hope, Emily brings Whiskers to the clinic yet again. She can feel her pulse echoing in her ears as she waits in the exam room. Whiskers meows softly from his carrier, sensing her tension. "Everything will be okay," she tries to reassure herself, though her voice shakes. When the vet enters, she braces herself for what comes next, her mind racing through possibilities both hopeful and grim. The vet spends a significant amount of time explaining the findings, which point to a rare and concerning cause of the symptoms observed on Whiskers. "It's something we don't often see," he says, laying out some papers. Emily leans in, eyes wide. This condition involves a rare reaction to an unknown environmental factor, he continues, tracing some diagrams. Emily's heart races as she tries to comprehend the medical jargon. The gravity in the vet's voice makes clear the complexity and seriousness of the situation. "This isn't a straightforward case," he states, looking Emily straight in the eye. "We'll need to explore every possible avenue," he adds, flipping through his notes. Emily nods, but feels a lump forming in her throat. Whiskers sits quietly on the exam table, his eyes half closed, entirely oblivious to the serious discussion about his health. He outlines a potential, albeit experimental, treatment plan, leaving the decision in Emily's hands. "We can try a series of targeted therapies," he explains. "They come with risks, but it might help pinpoint the cause and treat it effectively." Emily listens intently, trying to absorb all the information. "So, what exactly are the risks?" she asks, her voice tinged with anxiety. The vet lays out the potential side effects, each one weighing heavily on her mind. Emily feels overwhelmed, but knows she must quickly decide the best course of action for Whiskers' health. "I'll do whatever it takes," she says, her voice strong despite the turmoil inside. The vet nods, appreciating her determination. They schedule the first treatment session for the following day. Emily tries to prepare herself mentally for the challenging journey ahead, determined to take every step necessary for Whiskers' recovery. Emily opts to proceed with the experimental treatment, despite the associated risks and uncertainties. She signs the necessary consent forms with a shaking hand, but a resolute heart. The vet assures her they will monitor Whiskers closely. "We'll be here every step of the way," he promises. That night, Emily tries to find comfort in the knowledge that they are actively doing something, even as doubt lingers in her mind. The process is arduous, requiring several clinic visits and careful monitoring at home. Each visit feels like a test of patience and endurance. Whiskers endures various procedures, some more uncomfortable than others, but Emily is always there, providing a comforting presence. "Hang in there, Whiskers," she whispers during each treatment. Back home, she closely follows the vet's instructions, her life revolving around Whiskers' care more than ever before. Emily becomes increasingly attentive to Whiskers' every movement and behavior, hoping for signs of improvement. She notes when he eats, sleeps, or shows any slight change in demeanor. "Did you play a little more today?" she asks, hopefully, even if the changes are minimal. Every small sign of vitality is cherished, documented meticulously, and relayed to the vet. Her heightened attention becomes part of her daily routine. Friends and family check in regularly, their concern palpable, but Emily remains focused on Whiskers. "How's he doing today?" Sarah asks on one of her frequent calls. Emily provides updates, but remains cautious in her optimism. "No major changes yet," she admits. Her family offers to help, suggesting breaks and bringing over meals. Even though she appreciates their support, Emily rarely leaves Whiskers' side, driven by her dedication. Despite the vet's cautious optimism, the road to recovery is fraught with setbacks, testing Emily's resolve. There are days when Whiskers seems to improve only for his condition to regress. "2 steps forward, 1 step back," she mutters, trying to stay positive. The setbacks are frustrating and disheartening, but Emily pushes through, determined to see Whiskers fully recover. Each attempt, though met with challenges, strengthens her bond with him. She maintains detailed records, hoping data will either show a trend or offer new insights. Every symptom, minor improvement, or regression gets documented. Day 14. Lethargy continues, slight increase in appetite, she writes. Her meticulous notes help the vet analyze Whiskers' condition more accurately. The recorded data becomes a critical tool in their ongoing efforts, offering small but significant details that might aid in Whiskers' journey to recovery. Finally, after weeks of vigilant care and uncertainty, Emily gets a call from the vet with conclusive results. Her heart pounds as she listens to him. "We've got some answers," he says. Emily's mind races, barely able to process the information. She feels an urgent need to understand, but waits as the vet explains slowly, carefully. The moment feels surreal, suspenseful, her anxiety skyrocketing with each passing second. She rushes to the clinic, the suspense almost unbearable. Every traffic light seems to conspire against her, stretching the drive into an eternity. Come on," she mutters, tapping the steering wheel anxiously. Whiskers meows softly from his carrier, sensing Emily's unease. The clinic finally comes into view, a beacon of both hope and fear. Emily parks hastily and grabs Whiskers, her steps hurried yet deliberate. The vet reveals the root cause of Whiskers' symptoms, a specific chemical compound found in a commonly used household product. It appears he's been exposed to this chemical, the vet explains, holding up a small diagnostic report. Emily's eyes widen in surprise. A household product, she repeats, stunned. The vet nods. Yes, it's rare but possible. We've pinpointed it to this chemical. Relief and confusion flood Emily's mind simultaneously. Upon realizing the diagnosis, the vet had been brought to tears, overwhelmed by relief and the rarity of the case. I've never seen anything like this in my career, he admits, wiping his eyes. Emily feels a lump in her throat, both moved and relieved by his reaction. Thank you, she whispers, her voice breaking slightly. The vet's emotional response reinforces the gravity of Whiskers' ordeal, making the moment profoundly impactful. Emily feels a flood of emotions as she comprehends the journey they've endured. But finally, there's a clear path forward. Tears blur her vision as she looks at Whiskers, who seems oblivious to the life-changing moment. We're going to make it, buddy, she says, her voice a mix of relief and determination. Whiskers purrs softly in response, seemingly sensing the positive shift in his owner's mood. Emily takes immediate action to remove the household product that had contaminated Whiskers' environment. She runs from room to room, identifying and discarding anything that could contain the harmful chemical. Can't risk it, she murmurs, throwing away cleaning supplies and air fresheners. She feels a sense of urgency to cleanse their space. By the end of the day, the house feels different, safer. Emily takes a deep breath, her mind slightly eased. Following the vet's advice, she continues the treatment and monitors Whiskers closely for any signs of recovery. Her daily log becomes even more meticulous, tracking every meal, nap, and playful moment. Slowly but surely, Whiskers' energy returns, and the spots begin to fade. Emily watches him closely, her heart lifting each time he plays with his toys or eats a full meal. You're looking more like your old self, she says, noting the changes in her log. The gradual improvement feels like a miracle, an emotional boost for Emily. The vet's updates add to her optimism, confirming Whiskers' steady progress. Emily and Whiskers share a moment of relief and joy, grateful for the support they received and hopeful for a healthier future together. One evening, as they sit on the couch, Whiskers cuddles close, purring deeply. We did it, Emily whispers, tears of gratitude in her eyes. Both are exhausted, but filled with a renewed sense of hope. The bond between them feels stronger than ever, forged by the trials they overcame.